Hi, how are
Hello.
you?
Very well. Almost hungry, so this is great timing.
Yeah, perfect.
Let
I
me
hope you'll have a
tell
Jungly Delights bar after.
I almost ordered. I was on your site yesterday, and I said, let me get some, you know, calculated information from you, and then
Yeah.
order. I was so
Okay,
tempted, and they look
perfect.
so delicious.
Thank you. They are really good, I have to agree.
Are you a consumer?
I am. I eat them every day. I'm also surrounded by them all the time. I have them here right now, and so
Yeah.
I end up eating at least two a day.
So that's what I'm wondering. Do people who make their own products, don't you get like sick of that whole smell and sight and say, oh, I'm
So
not going to eat
the
any?
only thing that I actually got a little bit sick of is making them because physically it was so exhausting.
It's a
But I
lot of
never got
work.
sick
Yeah,
of
yeah.
eating them because they actually taste
Sure.
really good.
I'm going to assume that's a totally unbiased opinion
Totally
coming from this
unbiased.
really random customer who has nothing to do
Yeah.
with the brand. But our format is 7 questions, which
Okay.
is quick and
Okay.
easy. And it also, doesn't tax you too much on what's the correct thing to say. So just say whatever's on your mind,
Okay.
because this is also something I want to learn from, and I hope my readers and viewers also learn from.
Sounds
So
good.
we've titled it Decoding Superfoods because, we're surrounded by all kinds of superfoods from all places of the world.
Yeah.
Things when you and I were growing up, we probably hadn't heard of these things. Our
Mm-hmm.
grandmothers definitely didn't feed us these things. Our
Yeah.
parents who were so well read and who are so well traveled, also, this is not what they brought back. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I got comics. Mine brought back comics and
Yeah.
learning toys and food then meant what? Like imported food meant chocolate maybe, right?
Yeah.
Or cheese if you had a
Mm-hmm.
long layover at some random airport. And
Mm-hmm.
none of these superfoods, even though they
Yeah.
existed on our plates or even on our minds. So
Yeah.
just decode it for me. What do we understand by a superfood anyway? Food is
So
food, right?
it is. So just to start, a superfood is basically a food, an edible food that is loaded with nutrients, and with a small amount of eating it, you get maximum nutrients. And there are many types of superfoods now. It ranges from blueberries to ashwagandha. These are all considered superfoods. And what you're actually talking about, our grandmothers and our parents would travel, they wouldn't bring this back. You're referring to the global superfoods, like, for example, quinoa, which comes from South America, or avocados, which have now become super popular. But we actually have had superfoods in our Indian culture for centuries now. And we have ingredients like ashwagandha, amla, moringa, which our ancestors have actually been consuming for so many years. Even turmeric, it's something that we do consume every day. So we have our own Indian superfoods, and so it's basically a nutrient dense ingredient that I've tried to add Indian superfoods to these products. So something like ashwagandha, for example, has existed in our culture for so many years now, and it's something that our ancestors actually did eat, and the opposite happened here where
And
we
it's a herb. It's a
it
herb
is. It's
that
a herb.
existed. Yeah.
Exactly. And so here what ended up happening is that people forgot about these superfoods. They were consumed generations before, and they were available in grandmother's remedies, and there would always be some complex recipe. Like we've all heard of ashwagandha and amla and moringa, but we
No,
won't
like
really
all our tribal food and our indigenous food is balanced and is herb, whether
exactly.
it be vegetarian or non-vegetarian or even
Mhm.
vegan. We've always had this
Exactly.
combination.
And there's so
And I think it still
many
exists, but in
natural
pockets, in rural pockets or in tribal pockets.
fruits.
And that's where
And
the least diseases as well.
exactly, and
Yeah.
there's that's also true. And now people in the West have started claiming our superfood. So, for example, you'll see the turmeric latte in America has just exploded as a trend, and it's something
Haldi
that we
doodh,
exactly
which
we've
all of
all
us used to whine about when we were young.
exactly. And people
Yeah.
there have actually started valuing our superfoods more than we have in India. Just like we've
Yeah.
started valuing things like quinoa, which we've never really grown up eating, but because it's become a trend now, we started valuing it. And so that's why in my bars as well, I've added all these Indian superfoods because just so to ensure that we're actually benefiting from them.
And when you say superfoods, like you explained, it could be a herb, it could be a liquid, it could be a mineral even,
Yeah.
because we use, in the past, we've cleaned our teeth, past in the sense, in the historical past, cleaned our teeth with charcoal, which is from rice husks or
Mm-hmm.
even bamboo, and
Yeah.
we've cooked in ashes and embers.
Mm-hmm.
So carbon has been an element as well,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
now when all these packaged superfoods come,
Mm-hmm.
is snacking better now, or is it very package reliant
So
especially for urban consumers?
it really depends because it depends on what the snack is. Because I would say majority of the
Okay, is
snacks.
snacking good or bad? Let's get rid of the.
Snacking can be really good. I like to view snacking as something that's really good actually because people views like when people are like, oh, I can't snack, it's not healthy, and then they overeat at their meals. So snacking can be really really good. You have to choose wisely. And you have to make sure that you always have healthy snacks on hand because otherwise, if you're going to be eating a packet of chips or biscuits, then of course it's bad. But it depends on what snack you choose. Not all snacks are created equal. And it depends on, you have to look at many factors such as the ingredients, the nutrition facts, are they using preservatives or not? And a lot, I mean, ideally, we should be
So it's
eating
important to read the package of whatever you're going to consume, either as a snack or even as a meal.
100%.
Spend
Yeah.
those 5 minutes reading the
Yeah.
package.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, of course there are times when you should indulge as well. I don't think that you should deprive yourself, but it is
Yeah.
important to educate yourself about the nutrition label. And most people actually don't know what a nutrition label means or how to read the ingredients, what order they're in, because that's not something we're taught in school, but it's so important to be aware of that. And so snacking can be really good and eat
Because when
snacks.
you buy a fruit, you smell it, you touch it, you look at it. So you do
Exactly.
spend that much effort.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, ideally, we should all be eating things that aren't out of a packet. But given our modern day lifestyles and how everyone's so busy and everyone's on the go, you do need things. You need options that come in packets that are actually good. So a lot of snacks that are packaged there's so many misleading claims out there and snacks that claim to be healthy, but then you look at the ingredients and they're not actually healthy. So you just
They're
have to be very,
unpronounceable chemical names.
exactly.
So
You
it's
have to
like
just
you need a chemistry decoding app or something. See,
you can
what does
tell
this
when
mean?
you, yeah, like you can tell by if
Dextrine, yeah.
the ingredients that you can't pronounce, then maybe you should be thinking twice.
And is it true the less ingredients, the better? The less in
It
a
depends.
bar or in a
It
powder?
depends. Like sometimes, yes, that can be good, but if they're all really beneficial ingredients, like you look at Chyawanprash, for example, it's a whole mixture of herbs. So often, many ingredients can be good as well. It really just depends on the ingredients that are being used. But yeah,
Yeah,
like typically, I would.
another myth is for packaged things, just because you're the right person to ask, when there's a chemical which is a preservative, right?
Yeah.
So is it bad or is it not necessarily bad? Because
It
even
depends.
Chyawanprash, etc., has some sort of a preservative in the form of
Yeah.
maybe a sugar or maybe a fat or maybe
Yeah.
amla for, citric
Yeah.
acid. So
So typically,
what is
of
your
course,
take on
it
preservatives?
depends on the preservative. Artificial preservatives are bad, and natural, like let's say amla is being used for the absorbic acid, which is vitamin C, then that's good. Or if natural rosemary extract is being used, then that's good. But it totally depends on the kind of preservative. If it's an artificial preservative, which by law you're supposed to declare, then that's not healthy. That's not clean. So just watch out
So
for
look out for
artificial.
for a natural, again, a familiar sounding ingredient.
Exactly. Yeah, something you can see is something you can pronounce.
Yeah, or you've heard of at least, you know, it's a
Mm-hmm.
kitchen ingredient, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, Finn, when you come, we're talking about nutrient rich, and I know that you also have a social side to your own personality, and you give nutritional, how do we say it? Not advice, nutritional support to
Mm-hmm.
underprivileged children.
Yeah.
So, do packaged foods work better there as well because there's no contamination and there's easier distribution Does it work better?
Definitely, when you're trying to do a wide distribution, then it works because, like you, and it has a longer shelf life. With fresh food, you
Right.
have to give it immediately. So if you want to reach further, like more people, then it works. But it doesn't give you all the nutrients you need. So I don't recommend just having a packaged food. I don't recommend just having my bar. You also need your meals. You need your vegetables, your carbs. You need all the other nutrients as well. Just having something in a packet is never enough, and it's not recommended either.
But what has led to this so-called health food, packaged health food boom? It is now all over, and it is not just limited to the top metro cities.
Yeah.
You can see this if you travel. You can see them in places you would not have, thought they were possible.
Yeah.
They will be possible takers.
Yeah, which is, I really think that it's a great shift that's happening. And I think what's led to it is people's lifestyles. Everyone's so busy now. Earlier, you would have time, you'd be at home, you'd spend more time at home, you would have more fresh food and fresh snacks. But everyone's so busy now. And everyone's in back-to-back meetings and working long hours. And so they're going to be snacking anyway. And I think COVID has definitely been one thing I believe has pushed the change
How?
because people now value ingredients that are good. They saw how people's health was impacted during COVID and the benefit of being healthy. And
Yeah,
people
even
are
those
now,
who thought they were healthy,
exactly,
who thought they were leading good lifestyles, and
I
yeah.
know. And so really, like, we saw firsthand that taking care of your body and eating ingredients that are good for you can make a difference. And so I think everyone may have lost someone to COVID or been impacted by it, or maybe they had COVID themselves, and so they started valuing these ingredients more that can actually keep you healthy.
So in the post-COVID world, where almost everybody who was impacted is suffering some form of long COVID, which is not a category that even doctors have been diagnosing. They say it is long COVID, but there's no parameter to diagnose what particular disease it is. So what do you recommend? What easily available, affordable, say top three superfoods do you recommend that people either snack on or include in their diet?
Number one, I would say, is turmeric, and it's something that we all actually do include in our diet, but just being conscious about it. And ideally, you should be having it with black pepper because that increases the bioavailability.
I was going to ask you, just adding spoons of turmeric to everything does not work.
So typically the best way to have it is with black pepper, which basically increases the bioavailability, which means that your body absorbs the nutrients and the benefits.
The curcumin in the turmeric gets absorbed.
Yes, exactly. That's the beneficial part. So just a pinch of black pepper, and ideally you should also be consuming it with some sort of fat. So that could be milk or ghee, and this basically helps your body absorb it better. So turmeric is one. Then I would say just generally a lot of vegetables and fruits, because you can get a whole variety of nutrients from these, and also eating different colored vegetables and fruits. So they call it eating the rainbow. That's a really good option because then you get different nutrients from each vegetable and fruit. So switching it up and making sure that you eat them regularly, because don't just have it one day and then
you can't just do a fad. You can't do it like a fad.
Yeah.
And the third?
The third, if I have to think of, I would say protein is really important. I don't really believe in the need for having protein powders, but having either chicken, fish, paneer, eggs, some sort of protein, because they're the building blocks of our body. So it can really be beneficial on the whole. So leading a healthy life in general makes it.
So for our vegetarian and vegan friends, what is a good source of protein according to you?
So paneer, tofu, nuts, seeds, yogurt, these are good options. And of course, there are supplements that you can also take depending on whether or not you're consuming enough of this.
And is it true that an egg remains a superfood, or have we knocked it off? Because every year there is some seasonal evil food. It could be sugar, fat, eggs, and then they come around.
Yeah, it keeps changing. I really believe that eggs are super healthy and they're a great way to pack in your protein, and it's very easy. Like I actually I had worked out in the morning and then I had 2 eggs after that, and instead of having protein powder, I just consume eggs and
and you're sorted for your quota.
Exactly. And I think they're really tasty as well. There's so many ways you can prepare it. I love eggs. I think that they're
Yeah,
super healthy.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
a good cheat sheet for protein is eggs. You can.
Absolutely. It's easy to just get it in. You can have boiled eggs, scrambled
So why
eggs,
do these
omelette.
foods get a bad rep? Because the egg yellow that everybody throws is actually the most nutritionally dense part of it.
And
So
the tasty part too.
yeah,
Yeah. So
and the tasty part, but it's so valued, and
it is.
I've seen people just discard it. So I'm like,
So
give
there
it to
are
me.
many different theories that keep coming in. Every day there's a new theory. Some like in the 90s, low fat and zero fat was considered healthy. Sugar free was considered healthy, and people have started consuming aspartame and all these chemical ingredients.
Yeah,
There are always these new theories. They keep coming out every day. So I think it's best to just stick to natural ingredients that work for your body. How do you feel after you eat them? And things
exactly. So there's nothing that works for all, right? It has to be
exactly,
very
yeah,
individual how your body reacts to.
totally, yeah. Where humans are bio-individual, everyone has different needs, different allergies, and sensitivities. So you have to see what
And
works
body
for
and
you.
mind, how you feel as well,
Exactly. How you
right?
feel mentally, physically, emotionally. How do you feel after eating something? So you have to also go with your gut.
But there have been some consistent no-nos, which, like say white sugar, for example, is
Hmm.
still considered, some call it a carcinogen. I don't know where all these studies are coming from, but
Hmm.
some, obviously call it an insulin spiker, which it is.
Yeah.
There is study to support that.
Yeah.
So is there a top three no-no anyway, which one can really live without as well?
Yeah, so I would say rather than banishing white sugar, I think that the real villain is artificial sweeteners like Splenda
Okay.
and those sugar because those are just generally a rule of thumb is go natural over artificial. So if you know that something's artificial, such as Splenda and the sugar-free sweeteners, I would rather
And a
have
lot
the
of
real.
stevia is doing the,
Yeah, so
top
stevia is
rounds these days.
actually it is, and the thing with stevia is that it's natural, so it's still better than those sugar-free options. However, some studies are showing that it's not very good on your gut. But then again, like we discussed, there are studies that say that a certain ingredient is beneficial, and they also say that it's bad
Hmm.
for you. So you really have to see how it's working for you. But generally, there has been enough proof to show that
So go
chemically,
natural,
yeah,
and otherwise the option is just don't have it because foods do have their own sugars. There
yeah.
fruits have it, milk has it. Most
Exactly. Or
fruits
then
do have.
if if you like something sweet, maybe switch to honey or jaggery. These are easy swaps and they actually taste really good. And they're just so
Hmm.
much better for you than the artificial equivalent of that, like aspartame. So you were asking what are the no-nos?
Yeah, the top three
Okay.
no-nos.
So number
It
one, I
could
would say anything
either be
artificial.
food or it could be a thing like intermittent fasting for long hours. I don't know. So
Okay.
what is
So I
your
would
expert opinion?
Yeah, so I also feel like I don't really like to encourage deprivation. I think everything in balance is okay because if you deprive yourself, then you might crave things more. So
See,
everything in
intermittent fasting
moderation.
sounds so cool, and deprivation sounds so painful right there.
You're right. A lot of it is how it's marketed and positioned. Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So generally, some no-nos would be, of course, anything artificial. So artificial sweeteners, artificial preservatives, or and ideally, you should be eating everything natural, like honey, jaggery. If you're using preservatives, they should be rosemary extract or absorbic acid from amla or vitamin C. Artificial sweetener, anything artificial is one. Then other no-nos would be, I would say, it maybe really preserved items such as cured meats or like things that have come, meats that have a really long shelf life. I would be a little bit skeptical of those because the way they cure them also leads to a lot. They use a lot of sodium. So
Right. So yeah.
yeah, so that's not usually healthy. Like eat fresh where possible. And I think another no-no would be maybe just being too hard on yourself. You really shouldn't be too hard on yourself because then a lot of people view health as something that's intimidating and as a daunting task and something that they can't do. But that's not at all true. The reality is that that leading a healthy life is actually simple. People make it seem like it's intimidating and difficult, but
Yeah.
don't be hard on
And
yourself.
not accessible.
Yeah,
Not accessible to
exactly.
everybody.
It's not, and a lot of people think, oh, I can't do it and it's too much, but
Or
actually
can't
it's
afford
very,
to simply. Like it's not
yeah.
accessible. You can't go to a fancy gym.
Yeah,
But if you
but
have a wall,
really,
you can do a push-up.
exactly. I mean, you can just go outside and take a walk. Anybody can
Hmm.
go. I mean, most people can do that. So it doesn't really require a lot of money. Don't be too hard on yourself. Take simple steps that you can do daily. For example, maybe you can make small changes like wake up and go for a walk outside. Like make that the first thing that you do every day. And you'll see that it has such powerful benefits and you don't need to spend anything to be able to do that. It's free.
You just have to have that sense of discipline and self-care for a while.
Yeah,
And another
exactly. I
myth
think,
I wanted you to help us bust is, or rather bust it yourself, is water. How much is too much? And what are all these fancy bottled black, purple waters? What are they?
yeah.
Black water scares me to look at it. You know, that's
I
something you would
honestly
complain
don't
to the municipality about.
yeah. I don't know this whole black water thing. I find it bizarre, frankly. Like I just have my classic plain water. I think so. I personally,
Exactly. What is
yeah.
alkaline water? Water. Both of us sit with a bottle of water. What is alkaline water? What is this? Please explain.
So basically now, I think the takeaway is that we should be consuming enough water. So I personally, I think I must be having 2 to 3 liters of water in a day. One of the things I do.
Wow.
So
Oh,
I wake up and I have a bottle of water, and then I have this. I don't have it with me right now, but I have this big bottle which reminds me
with
to drink
markings.
water. Yes, and it actually
Like you're
really
an
helps.
idiot. You're not drinking enough. Good girl. You had this much. The
Exactly, and
motivational bottles.
yeah. And it actually works, I have to admit. This ensures that otherwise I might have a glass here, a glass there. I don't know how much I'm consuming. At least now I know that I'm having this whole bottle. And one tip that I would
But is there a
recommend,
standard? Everybody should drink 2 liters.
it also
That
depends
can't be
on
true.
your body weight and also how much you're sweating and working out, and those things also make a difference. So if you're
Hmm.
sweating excessively, if you're working out, then you need to drink more. You need to replenish your body's electrolytes and drink more water. So it really depends on your lifestyle also. And again, like we said, humans are bio-individual, depends on your needs. How are you
Yeah,
feeling?
because there were studies, there were alarmist posts on water poisoning. So, which
Okay.
is again something that makes you sit up too much water,
Yeah.
you know. So, water intoxication or whatever they called it.
Yeah.
So, it is a situation again that one needs to be aware of,
Yeah.
right? Like you said, your own body tells you if you're thirsty,
Yeah.
take a sip.
And our bodies are actually quite remarkable in the systems that are in place. So if we're having too much, you'll probably be going to the bathroom a lot more. And that
A lot.
itself is probably a sign. Like if you're constantly having to go to the bathroom, then maybe you should listen to your body and cut down a little bit. You shouldn't go
Yeah.
from having one glass of water to having 10 bottles of water overnight. You have to
So
also
don't
make
follow fads. Yeah,
exactly.
just
Don't
because
follow
you're
fads.
having it may not work for another person.
Exactly. You have to listen to your body. That's the most important thing, to be in tune with your body and listen to the messages that it's telling you. Your body will tell you when something feels good and when something doesn't feel good.
Great. And my final question to you is, can you give us, because you are an expert, can you give us 3 must-dos every day, which gives us some peace of mind and peace of
Yeah.
physicality?
That's a good question. Let me think. So I'm trying to think in my daily life, what do I do that is, so what I would say one must do is get some fresh air and natural sunlight every day, ideally with a walk.
Excellent.
Because sometimes we all get so busy. Sometimes I may not leave my house or office and the whole day, and I feel weird on those days. I don't feel very good. So now every morning, I also recently got a dog, and this definitely helps me. Every
That's a
morning I wake
great
up
way
and
to
yeah, and the first thing I do is I
forces
go
you
out
out.
for a walk with her outside in
Yeah.
nature. I'm getting that sunlight, I'm getting my steps in. So if you can do that, that's great. At any time of the day, it doesn't have to be in the morning. It depends on your schedule as well.
Oh,
So
great. Yeah, that's very helpful. And
yeah,
next, one
then
more.
that's one thing every day. I would say one thing that I started doing is that I try to be mindful and grateful. So maybe just one thing every day, savor it. So it could be a hot shower. Like we do a lot of things every day that are actually great for us and that feel really good, but we may not be cognizant of it and we may not appreciate it. So it could be,
Yeah.
let's say you're having a hot shower, you're eating a really delicious meal. Just make sure to take a moment, pause, and appreciate that, because these are just having that knowledge and being cognizant of the fact that this is
So
something
be
that,
present in that moment
yeah,
and
and it could be
appreciate
for
it. Right.
so many things. It could be like a friend comes over and you're having a great time. It could be a
Yeah, it can
hot
be
shower.
anything. So true.
Exactly. So just even if
So
it's
you don't
just
need to
one,
light some aura candles, etc., and have
yeah,
crystals all around you. It's
exactly.
just everyday things. And
Yeah.
the third one?
And the third would be have at least one meal that nourishes you. So I know it can be, people get busy in their day-to-day lives. Maybe sometimes you're too busy to cook and you might order something in, and that's also okay. But have at least one meal every day that nourishes you. It could be your breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but something that gives back to your body and that makes you feel good and is healthy, and which makes you feel good, basically.
And it can be something simple, like if it can be dal roti, it can be an anda on
Exactly.
toast, it can be
Yeah,
anything.
totally. And ideally, it should be tasty and healthy, so you feel extra good after eating it.
So that piece of cheese is okay.
Yeah,
Or
cheese
ghee
now and
for
then.
those who love. Yeah.
Honestly, cheese is actually okay in moderation. Everything in moderation is fine. I don't like to banish any one ingredient because I don't think that's healthy. Like a little cube of cheese is okay. It's fine. Like it's actually a
Wow.
probiotic, in fact. Yeah.
So good. Oh, great. Thanks. Cheese is probiotic. So this is why you're so
Cheese.
popular, Ananya. You don't ban foods and you tell us to enjoy what we like.
Mhm.
But yeah, there is everything in moderation is good.
Absolutely. Moderation over
Yeah.
deprivation.
Excellent. That should be on a t-shirt. Please make one soon and send it to
That's a
your
great
loyal
idea.
customers.
Maybe
Great.
we'll
Thanks
do
for
that.
joining us. I
Thank you
hope
so
to
much.
see you soon
Yes.
and great success to your business.
Thank
And feel
you.
free to share tips with us whenever an idea pops up.
I'll do that. I will. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Ananya.
Have a
Bye.
great
You
day.
take care. You
Bye.
too. Bye.